Greetings, TheWarOwl greets you, and welcome to my series of tutorials on how to play Counter-Strike Global Offensive. From now on, in this tutorial series, I'll be marking these tutorials as either noob, denoted by green, average, denoted by blue, and pro, denoted by red. All tutorials are for everybody, but this just gives you a little idea of what to expect beforehand. This time, we'll be covering how to practice Counter-Strike Global Offensive. This is a beginner to advanced tutorial. Oh, great. Okay, it's all of them, I guess. I just ruined my own system with the first tutorial. Alright, anyway, there are three main levels of understanding in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The first is the basics, the mechanics of the game. It involves shooting, spray pattern control, movement techniques, muscle memory, pretty much everything you need to know to defeat an opponent when you know where he is and he knows where you are. There's no walls in the way. These basics are skills that need to be constantly trained. If you stop training them, they will go away. It's sort of like working out. You can work out consistently for years and then stop for a month, and you'll be right back where you started, looking like me. Alright, to practice these skills, there are a number of different options. To practice your spray pattern control, simply start an empty server. You can do this by selecting play with bots and making there no bots, or you can type map DE-2_SE in your console. I like to do all of my practice in the map dust2 because it contains every possible distance and situation you will encounter in the game. Here's a tip. To give yourself a lot of money in your own private server, open your console with the tilde key, type SV_cheats space 1, enter, then type map space DE_dust2_SE, enter, and then type Impulse 101. This will give you 16k of money. Now, buy the weapon you want to practice shooting with. I'm going to use the AK-47. Face the wall and shoot. You can do a number of different exercises. First, to get the spray pattern down, try standing still and holding down the left mouse button, and move the mouse so that all the shots go to the same place. A good way to do this is start by shooting one shot, then shoot two shots, then shoot three shots, and to just make sure that all shots get to the exact same place before moving on to the next number of shots. And of course, with the AK-47, this means on the third shot you'll have to pull down a little bit and continue until you're able to get them all in the same place. You can practice a number of different shooting techniques in this fashion. Next, to practice actually shooting players, you can create a private server with bots and shoot the bots. Or, the way I personally like to practice is to join a deathmatch server. I know a lot of you guys watching here have met me in deathmatch servers all the time. That's where people, every time I join a deathmatch server, people are like, it's TheWarOwl, what's up? And yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Alright, to find a deathmatch server in your server filter options, type deathmatch in the tags field. In deathmatch, you get to spawn with any weapon you want. And when you die, you immediately respawn somewhere on the map. This way, you can maximize the number of engagements per time, which is a great way for practicing your aim. In most deathmatch servers, type guns in chat to enable the list to pick your guns. And then, when you spawn, press 3 and it'll disable that gun list and you'll spawn with the same weapon every time. When practicing, don't worry about deaths. This is incredibly important. Only worry about improving your aim. Don't worry about actually maintaining a kill-death ratio. When practicing with the AK-47, only go for one-hit headshot kills. If you miss, assume you'll die, because in a real situation against the best players, you will. Now, let me tell you a little story. Back in the day, I was terrible at Counter-Strike. Absolutely, positively terrible. There was no mistaking the level of terribleness that I embodied in my very soul. I generally had a kill-death ratio of about 1 to 15, and no, I'm not exaggerating that. One day, I was invited to play in a 10-man. A 10-man is a competitive game where you pick captains, and those captains pick players to be on their 5-person team, and then you play a 5 versus 5 match. It's incredibly fun because you know everybody you're playing with, and the teams are usually generally even. Well, I was always picked last. Every time. I earned the nickname The Fat Kid because I was picked last. One day, I finally decided to try and get good at the game. I forgot almost everything I knew about playing, joined a deathmatch server, and started from scratch. AK-47. One-hit headshots. That's all. I had to prevent myself from spraying and going for kills, because I always started noobing out every once in a while. So I bound kill to Q in my console. And every time I missed a one-hit headshot, I committed suicide. Over hours and hours, days and days of doing this, I eventually started to get kills, to learn, to get those headshots, to train my muscle memory. I started slow, moving my mouse slowly and surely and only firing when I was on the head, had to lower my sensitivity, had to keep lowering my sensitivity over and over and over and over again. You have to keep lowering that sensitivity. That's sort of the optimization in this game. And then after time, I sped up. This is a great way to train your shots, and I recommend it to everybody, the seasoned pro to the bumbling noob. Pretty soon, after about 3 months of intense training, watching competitive matches, running my drills, fundamentally studying and figuring out this game, strats, spots, everything, I started getting picked first. And now, usually when I play a 10-man, I'm the first to get picked. It's awesome. So to all you fat kids out there, forget everything you know, start from scratch, and do things right. There is good practice, and then there is bad practice. The second level of understanding in Counter-Strike Global Offensive is what I like to call game sense. Game sense is still an individual skill. It is the ability to understand the current state of the round and the game as a whole. It includes knowing the common spots that players tend to be. It also includes timing. This is knowing how long it takes a player to move from point A to point B on the map. This way, if you hear a player in a certain position, or you see him on radar due to another player's vision, etc., you can calculate in your head the exact time it takes for him to go to your line of vision. You can have a sort of a mental understanding of the map, the entire map, where all of the players are, teammates and enemies, and you should be able to, it should give you a huge advantage in the game. This also includes throwing nades, flashes, smokes, Molotovs, decoys, when to use them, when not to use them, where to throw them, techniques to throwing them, etc., 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 etc. To practice game sense and map awareness, you should play in a competitive environment, such as a pickup game, a scrim, do the in-game matchmaking system, or join ESEA and do pugs. It's important to play with and against people who are better than you are. That's the only way you'll learn something. You can kill a noob over and over again every time with perfect mastery of the first level of understanding in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, but you'll have trouble with a seasoned player. Also, remove from your head the concept of hacking. Assume that everybody is legit. If you have the concept of hacking in your mind, you'll turn to it when a player has superior game sense than your own, so as to protect your fragile ego. Also, never blame the game. The game is at fault at times, we all know this, especially on crappy servers and the Valve servers, but just remove that possibility from your mind or you'll rely on it as an excuse. You don't need to run strats, you don't need to play with a seasoned team or whatever to learn game sense. Another way to learn these skills is to watch my shoutcasting of competitive tournaments and pay attention to the first-person views and what I comment on what they should be looking for. Sort of look at what they're doing, you know, why they're doing what they're doing. Think about where the enemies are. X-ray helps a lot with that because you know where the enemies are, and you have to understand in their mind they're calculating where those enemies are. The third, oh yeah, by the way, I don't recommend watching any other caster because let's be honest here, folks, I'm simply the best. Alright, the third and final level of understanding in Counter-Strike Global Offensive is teamwork. At the highest level of competitive play, teamwork is the deciding factor in every match. It is what separates noobs from pros. You could have a team of folks who have mastered the mechanics of the game and have mastered game sense, and you could put them up against a group of average players with perfect teamwork, and the team with teamwork would win, hands down. The only way to learn teamwork is to play with a team. You have to find a group of people to consistently play the game with, and make sure at least one person on that team understands strategy. It's also important to listen to that one person, and do everything that they say, regardless of what you know is right. A team can only survive when players are willing to put their personal egos aside and listen to the team as a whole, voiced by the strat caller. That's hard to listen to because everybody thinks that they're awesome and they're better than everybody else, and the strat caller is going to make mistakes. You know they're going to make mistakes. They're going to tell you to do something stupid, but you have to listen. To learn teamwork, you have to learn humility. Otherwise, you're useless. Not only useless, but you bring down your team. You're a negative effect on them. For a team to practice teamwork, you need to practice, not just scrim. In fact, most of your time should be spent practicing teamwork. Everybody still needs to brush up on the basics by joining a deathmatch or a private server for a bit. And then scrimming, you can do scrimming and pick up games and stuff to practice your game sense. But when practicing as a team, you practice teamwork. This means getting into your team server and running strats, practicing spots, figuring out nade throws, going over bomb site takes. Here's a fun drill I did with my team. Have 2 of your players play defense in a bomb site, such as bomb site B on Dust 2. And then the 3 other players should then practice taking that bomb site over and over and over again. I'll leave you with these words of wisdom. In Counter-Strike, the terrorists are like water. The passageways in the map are like streams. The counter-terrorists are like dams, blocking those streams and protecting the 2 villages. When there's a crack in one of those dams, or a stream is left undammed, then the water rushes through and drowns the village. Thank you. I'm the WarOwl, and I still have no closer.